evening and welcome to another Let's Talk About It live streaming talk show. I am your host, Reverend Edward N. Mason Jr., and sharing with us this evening, co hosting is Dr. Joseph Davis. Boy, do we have a night of conversation to share with you. I want to encourage you to reach out to your friends, to your family, your coworkers, your neighbors, and help them to understand that we are going to be talking about something tonight. Why do African Americans love Donald Trump so much? Oh, it's going to be a hot topic. We've got some information we're going to share with you. I want to give you a chance. If you're with us on Facebook, we ask that you would like, share, and comment any comments that you share. Make sure you opt in to the StreamYard disclaimer. That way, we'll be able to see your comments and the person submitting them. Also, if you're with us on YouTube, I trust that you have touched the bell and subscribed to our channel, as we are going to be able to share some very good information. You'll be able to know exactly when we come on. And so let's get ready to talk about it. Let's get ready to make a difference. Let's get ready to engage in conversation, because I am sure that you want to know what's going on. As we shared, we're trying to do some things differently, do some things new. So let's talk about it, won't you? Let's talk about it. And so I apologize. I'm not sure what happened to the sound there on our new intro. But Dr. Davis, how you like the new intro that we have there?
Yes, sir. It's really nice. I like it. I like your poses and your style and everything that you do, brother, to make the show look entertaining.
Well, we're constantly trying to improve and make things better. That's what it's all about. Trying to make it better, Dr. Davis. Trying to keep it engaging and lively and all of that kind of stuff. So we've got some more things that we're working and looking to add to make it even better. To make it even better. There's a saying that goes and says, "Good, better, best." Never
There
be
you go.
satisfied until your good becomes better and your better becomes your best.
There
And
you
I
go.
know that every day is another opportunity for us to do better. My best today or my best yesterday should not be my best for today. Today
That's
should
right.
be better than my yesterday. So we're always trying to do better and be more productive in what we do. We are just days away, as each of you know, just days away from this past election. And my, oh my, oh my, what election day it was. The turnout was outstanding. In fact, they had as you know, over 100 million votes were cast even before election day by absentee and mail-in ballots. So, and then on election day, there was a large turnout. There were folk that were standing in line for over 9 hours just to cast their vote. And so election day was a big hit. It was a big hit, Dr. Davis. I know
Yeah.
you're in the Pennsylvania area. How was the turnout up there?
Turnout was excellent up here. Everybody was worrying about getting their vote in because they heard Donald Trump talking about trying to end the vote at a certain time. So everybody was trying to get their vote in, and it was a great turnout. It was so great that they're still counting the ballots. They still counting it, and I understand they might not know the answer until tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon, I am actually not looking forward to them having final numbers probably until Friday. And it may even go till Monday because they still got votes that they have to count. And some states still allow votes to be received as long as they were postmarked by Tuesday night. But votes were still able to be received up till I think 3 days afterwards. Although we know, for those who may not know, the president or number 45 just took America's time to talk on the television, but said absolutely nothing, in my opinion. He took time to talk, but he didn't say anything. He took time on national TV to have something to say, although they've been trying their best to keep him from talking, Dr. Davis. They've been trying, his staff, his advisors have been trying their best to keep him from talking, uh,
Yep.
but he could not stand the fact that Biden came out and has made statements the last couple of days, and he could not allow Biden to outdo him. So at the last minute, after Biden spoke this evening, he called a press conference, and the news media had to scramble to be able to host his conversation. Uh,
Right.
that was full of holes and innuendos and false accusations. But we should not be surprised.
That's
That
right.
kind of that's the kind of person that he has demonstrated himself to be for the last 4 years at least. I don't know, Dr. Davis. What you got to say?
Well, I'm glad. First of all, I'm glad that up here, Governor Wolf made it known that no, we're going to make sure every vote is in, and we're going to count every vote. And regardless of what Donald Trump says, he's the governor of Pennsylvania, and he's going to do it the right way. So I was glad about that. Secondly, listening to Donald Trump talk today, just like you said, it's a lot of nonsense. Um, and I'm saying it's a lot of nonsense because once again, I believe he feels the pressure. He feels the pressure, and things are tightening around him, and he could be well on his way out the door, on his way to jail, and so it's tightening around his throat. So I'm just saying that yeah, he he's out there just telling false statements and all that stuff. But on the other hand, I think it was a great election so far, and I think we're coming out. I really do. I really believe we might be coming out of this in a big way.
Well, Dr. Davis, as you know, for you participated in it on election day, we declared it a national day of prayer uh,
Yes,
as they were calling for disruption and disturbances. And in fact, Washington, D.C., especially down around the White House and in New York and other places boarded up downtown because they were just afraid of protest and violence and disturbance. And so what we did, we came together and declared Tuesday a National Day of Prayer. And we started off when the polls opened at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And we had prayer, and then we came back again at 12 noon and had prayer, and came back again at 6 p.m. and had prayer, and did our last prayer at 10 p.m. And our prayer was that God would look upon us, look upon this nation, protect those persons who were at the polls, both voting as well as those who were volunteering and those who were assisting in many areas. And so we stood together, stood united, and I want to say thank you to those pastors and clergy persons from around the city and county and even outside the state that joined in with us for prayer. We want to say thank you for your participation and involvement. As you know, and as you stated, they're still counting votes. They're still tabulating, and so an official winner has not been declared. There are still a few states where the numbers have to come in. I think Pennsylvania is one of them. They're still waiting for Pennsylvania. They're still waiting for um,
North Carolina,
North
Arizona.
Carolina, Georgia.
Right,
uh, Also, Arizona, I believe they're waiting
right.
for final numbers for Arizona, and I think there's one other state. I think there was five of them
It
uh,
is.
that they were waiting for the bottom numbers, the last numbers to come in. But they're getting close, and so they've already declared and stated that this election has been the Biden has received more votes in an election of a presidential election in the history of this yet to be United States of America.
Right,
So turnout was great. However, Dr. Davis, we have to talk about our subject tonight. One of the reasons why the turnout was so great was because African Americans showed up at the polls.
right.
Showed up at the polls, and it created the situation that we're looking at today, where the numbers uh,
Yep.
are so close in some states that it's very, very hard to declare a winner. And that's because African Americans,
Yeah.
in spite of everything that number 45 has done, African Americans have fell in love with number 45.
Yep.
It is said that some of them, and talking to some of them, they were excited about the fact, Dr. Davis, they said, well, he gave us a stimulus check.
Yeah.
They were excited because they received a stimulus check. $1,200 bought their vote.
Yep.
That's in spite of all that he did. And then he has on numerous occasions stated that he has done more for African Americans. That's what he said, than
Yep.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
And earlier in his campaign, we found out he didn't even know he didn't even know Abraham Lincoln was dead.
That's right. That's right. That's how pathetic he is that he really don't know history. He don't know anything when it comes to understanding the laws and all this stuff. But it's ironic that people, that especially black folk, give them some money, it'll shut them up and send them on their way, and they satisfied.
Well,
Um,
in spite of the fact that over 230 some thousand people have lost their lives, many of them were African American people. When you look at
yeah,
the homeless and the jobless rate, the unemployment, many of them, the large percentage of them, are African American people. When you look at the fact that most of the small businesses that have closed up, and over a third of them will never reopen. Many of them are African American businesses. When you look at the jobless rate, the unemployment, and all of those kind of things,
Right.
most of them that were affected are African Americans. And so I'm still trying to understand the rationale behind African Americans being so in love with number 45. Dr. Davis, you got to help me with this. I'm wrestling with it in spite of all that the evidence shows and point to. I'm trying to understand how is it that they can be so in love with this man?
Well, for one thing, they like what he says when it comes to I'm not a politician. That's for one thing, because I'm not a politician. So therefore I can do what I want, say what I want, and move on. And they don't have a problem with it. Whereby I have a problem with decorum. I think a man in that office should have some kind of deform the clarity, should have some kind of clarity about his actions. I think he ought to have some kind of um, uh, standards. I really do. I think but they don't care because, like you said, like some of the people say, you know, he's not a politician. He says what he wants, does what he wants, and they like that kind of stuff. They like it when he's arrogant and nasty and all that kind of stuff, because once again, that's the way they feel. They feel that, hey, this is the times we living in. So he fits right along with what we're doing.
Well, Dr. Dave, one of the things that really got under my skin about what he said, when he said that he had done more for Christians than Jesus Christ, that just took me over the edge.
Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
And yet we still have so many Christians that are backing him.
Well, that, like I said, it's sad that we have so many folk who are claiming to be Christians or followers of God or whatever, and yet they don't understand how important it is to have a relationship with God. And this man doesn't have a relationship with God, and apparently neither do they, because anytime they allow certain things to go on and do certain things, it's a shame. It's really a shame that I guess they just putting on the airs, I guess.
Well, in doing the research, we pulled up a few articles that we want to kind of go through tonight as we talk about why African Americans love Donald Trump so much. We found an article, Dr. Davis,
All right.
that talked about that very same thing, and so let's put it up on the screen and let's just see if we can kind of make some heads or tails of it. Let's look at what it says. This is an article that was in the Voice. That was one of the publications that was written on October the 21st by Fabolia Sinceres. I probably pronouncing the name wrong. But can you see what the headlines say, Dr. Davis?
Yeah, yeah. No. It says no. Trump has been the best president for Black America since Abraham Lincoln.
That's what he says.
Yes, sir.
That's what the article says.
Yep, that's
All
what it
right.
says.
And then
Yep, that's
underneath
right.
of it, here is what it says. Here's what Trump has and hasn't done for black communities in the past 4 years. Now let's make sure let's look at that picture there. Look at all of the folk that's standing around. I guess they laying hands on the president. I guess, Dr. Davis.
Yeah,
Um, and the caption underneath of that is President Donald Trump is in the center, stands in a prayer circle with African American leaders in the cabinet room of the White House This was on February the 27th, 2020.
Oh,
All right, that's when this photo was taken. Um, and then let's go through the article. In last week's NBC town hall event, President Donald Trump leaned into the camera to recite a statement that has become a fixture of his re-election campaign. Are you with me?
yep.
You still with me, aren't you, Dr. Davis?
Yeah, I'm still with you, sir.
You haven't left me, have you?
All right.
Okay. It's been a fixture of his re-election campaign. Here's what he said. I have done more for the African American community than any president, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln. The article goes on to say, over the past year, Donald Trump has shouted this from the lectern at campaign rallies and from the balcony at the White House as a play to black voters, a counter message to his racist rhetoric. The phrase has what? Has fought over time, stating in the fall of 2019 as something more restrained. We've done more for African Americans in 3 years than the broken Washington establishment has done in more than 30 years. And rising to build, no president has done more for black community this year. That was what he said. And in
Yeah.
June, Trump tweeted a similar statement bragging about what he had done for African Americans. It came just days after George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, was killed by Minneapolis police officers, setting off the unrest and protests of blacks across the country. He had not actually addressed the reason for the millions of people marching in the streets: the institutional racism in policing. I'm not even going to read what he said, but I'll go by it says, the tone deaf display. We know what tone deaf means, right, Dr. Davis?
Yes, sir.
Tone deaf display continued earlier this month when, in his first address since announcing he had tested positive for coronavirus, Trump confidently shouted the claim to hundreds of black and Latinx voters standing from the White House South Lawn. Nobody can dispute it. Nobody can dispute it. It's true.
Right.
Nobody can dispute it. The very fact that the president encouraged black people to assemble in his name just days after his diagnosis, foregoing social distancing, and despite the devastation of the virus has wrought on black and Latino communities, one could argue undetermined, undermined his message. Now, that's what the article says. That's not me. I'm just reading it. So, folks, don't get
Right.
mad at me.
Right.
While Trump may be confident in his claim, the article says, of having done more for most of black Americans, his record begs to differ. Uh-oh, Dr. Davis.
Yes, sir.
He has repeatedly cited his efforts on criminal justice reform and the economy as the reasons he's been the best president for black America since Lincoln,
Right.
who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing enslaved people in the Confederacy and clearing the way for the ratification of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery across the U.S. But rarely does Trump put his supposed wins in context.
Yep.
For example, Trump often tries to take credit for the decline in violent crime through the downward trend predicts him by many years. Trump, since Lincoln, bit is almost untrue on its face. Mr. Grant created the Department of Justice and pushed for the prosecution of the Ku Klux Klan. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Justice Department, pushed for the poll tax repeal. Harry S. Truman desegregated the military. Lyndon B. Johnson, through the Great Society legislation, signed the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act and the Fair Housing Act, and desegregated hospitals in the South through the Social Security Act amendment in 1965. And Barack Obama, the first black president, passed the Affordable Care Act. Notice what it says, Dr. Davis, the Affordable Care Act, and not Obamacare.
Right.
Passed the Affordable Care Act, which has reduced racial disparities in health care. Then it goes on to say, Trump, meanwhile, has wholly disregarded how his strategy and policies don't help black communities. From his rhetoric that sows division to his inaction in addressing the coronavirus pandemic that has killed nearly 1 in 1,000 black people in the United States. Then he goes on to say, here's a look at what Trump has and has not done for the black communities and why his campaign recently released a plan for Black America is vague last-ditch effort to lock in the black voters. Trump passed a significant criminal reforms measure, but his administration has worked to undo it.
Yeah.
All right. Then it goes on. Black employment gains before the pandemic were real, but not the result of Trump's presidential term. And this is what people don't understand.
Yep, that's right.
People of color continue to face higher unemployment rates in the recession. Now listen, folks. All I'm doing is just showing you information. I didn't create it. I'm just showing it to you. This is what the New York Times and other folk have reported. Trump claims on poverty don't tell the full story of racial disparity. Listen, if you all would like to get these articles, you can email me at let's talk about it, the number one, or yes, let's talk about it, the number one at gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send them to you. The mechanism for funding HBCUs has very little to do with Trump. And this is what he keeps talking about. Let's just check this out. Trump has also repeatedly mentioned how his administration has funded historically black colleges and universities. They couldn't get funding. Nobody was funding them for years and years and decades. Nobody was funding them, Trump said. But this is simply untrue.
That's right.
Under Obama, the federal government invested more than $4 billion in HBCUs over 7 years. And while federal funding for HBCUs has been renewed, notice the word renewed under Trump's presidency, Trump has not publicly acknowledged that the renewal is the result of congressional appropriations.
Yep.
Congress does all this work and presents it to him in a budget, and he can choose to sign it.
Yep.
This year, he held off. Notice, this year, he held off on signing some significant STEM funding, making HBCUs beg for it. Brother professor and leading HBCU authority Mary Beth Gresham told the Washington Post, Trump has promised all kinds of things to HBCUs and has followed through on little. Under Trump, the White House initiative for HBCUs was moved to the White House and is quite quiet compared to the work under President Obama. Listen, Dr. Davis,
yes, sir.
have to look at the facts. And the facts are, how do you believe something when this gentleman, this man has told numerous lies? The count of lies that he told now is up over, I believe it's over 100,000 lies that they have fact checked that he has told so far. How in the world can African Americans who have suffered so much under this man, how can they be so in love with him that they would risk putting him in for another 4 years?
Well, it's to me the way I look at it, and maybe I'm wrong, but the way I look at it, black folk for years, even during slavery, when they were set free, they wanted to know, where am I going? The master been good to me. When the master's sick, I'm sick. I ain't going nowhere. And they had freedom, but they didn't want to leave. They felt comfortable right there at the master's feet. That's what it is. Right now, with the chaos, some of these Afro Americans, they are excited because once again, they don't understand. Their life is in jeopardy. But they don't understand it because once again, they think, hey, I'm okay with it. He gave me a stimulus check. I'm okay with it. Hey, he can lie all he wants. It's okay when we know it's not okay. And once again, this is what they keep doing. This is what they keep saying. Now, all these things that you mentioned in the paper,
Uh
and they were right because oh, Trump didn't do none of that. He hadn't done nothing for blacks. I mean, if he done anything, he might have gotten rid of some of them. But he didn't do anything for blacks. I mean, Obama, before he left office, this is why Obama was out there candidating for Hillary Clinton because he said, "Listen, you're going to let my legacy die." This man came along and took control of it.
huh.
This man came along, everything that Obama and Biden built up, because what they did, they put things in place so that the economy would grow. In 2017, 18, 19, it would grow. That's what they did. And Trump is taking credit for it. If you go back and they do their research, they'll see that it was Obama and Biden who put things in place. But yet they're going to he keeps lying about stuff. And these folks believe the lie quicker than they will the truth. And they'll
Wow.
get mad at you because you're telling them the truth.
Dr. Davis, we have a lot that we have to adjust to. And I have been
Yeah,
telling folk, listen, it doesn't. I was going to say it doesn't matter, but yes, it does matter. But irregardless, I guess is the word I need to use. Irregardless of who officially wins this election, whoever it is, we are going to have problems.
yep,
One of the things that people don't realize, Donald Trump has already started to sign some executive orders
yes,
to put some things in place that even if he loses, it will make it difficult for Biden once he comes in office.
right,
He signed some executive orders last week that will be able to remove some people, embed some people, and make
yep,
some changes that when Obama, should he officially lose, that will make it difficult for the next president to be able to carry out his agenda.
yep, that's right.
This is what you call sabotage.
Yeah, that's right.
He,
Because,
he's
go ahead.
sabotage. He's sabotaging the democratic process and the electoral process. He's sabotaging.
You see, I heard this afternoon, that he has signed, Trump has signed paper. Let me back it up because I think you need to know that when every president calls his administrative teams together, what they do is they call for Secretary of State, they call for different ones and what have you. So already Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell has already said that we're going to make uh, Biden, if he wins, that he's got to select somebody that they want to handle the Secretary of State. Now they, once again, whoever becomes president has the right to choose his own cabinet, whoever he wants. But they making plans now for if Biden wins, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put who we want, and we're going to make sure he understands he's got to take who we select for him to put in as Secretary of State. Because I understand that he was looking at Susan Rice as Secretary of State. He was looking at uh, uh, Elizabeth Warren, Val Deming from Florida, or Amy Klobuchar. He was looking at these people, and Mitch McConnell saying no, we don't want none of them. And I'm saying to myself, man, what in the world? So he putting stuff in place that he has to he has to. They saying agree with it because they're not going to allow him to do anything without their okay, without Mitch McConnell and the Republican senators and all them having some say in it. So my thing is, I don't know how we gonna. His job is going to be hard. You're trying to heal the land, but yet you got your hands tied and you got division already.
Dr. Davis, this is so powerful because the Senate race that we just had trying to win some seats
Yes.
fell through. Again, African American people did not
Yep.
in my opinion, did not do the right thing.
Yes.
So not only did we lose the opportunity to gain some ground, but some of the persons that we should have been able to get rid of and unseat remain.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
means that even should Biden win, officially win and be declared the winner,
Yep.
they're going to do to him the same thing that they did to Obama.
Yep.
They're going to block and stall all of his programs.
Yep.
Just like Mitch McConnell has sitting on his desk
Yep.
several bills that have been introduced that would bring about help, support, and all of that, especially that would benefit African Americans. And
Yep.
he won't even bring the bill to the floor for a vote.
That's right.
But
That's
yet
right.
the economy is suffering. African Americans and other persons are suffering because of the pandemic. They would
Yep.
convene to rush through a judge, which they wouldn't do during Obama's administration.
That's
And
right.
many of them vowed that they wouldn't do it, only for
Yep.
them to turn around and do it. And after they pushed the vote through, he dismissed the session and says that
Yep.
they won't convene back again until after the election.
Election. That's right. That's right.
Dr.
And,
Davis. And in the
yes, sir.
meantime, people are suffering. People are suffering. People are being evicted. People are
Yep.
losing their property. Businesses are not being able to get the help that they need. And most of the folk that's being affected are black and brown skinned people.
That's
I
right.
want to know how in the world can African Americans be so in love with Donald Trump?
It might be the color of his hair. I don't see nothing that I really don't see it. I really don't see it. I'm serious. I don't see anything about this man that would cause anybody to fall in love. I mean, his disposition, his attitude, his character, his behavior. There's nothing that I personally I can see why they would fall in love with. I really can't. And the only thing I can think of is money, 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 money.
Is that what it is, Dr. Davis?
That's the only thing I can think of.
What?
Yes, sir.
Here's another article, because I don't want you all to think that that we didn't kind of check this out. This is an article from the Chicago Tribune. This article again is dated October the 21st, 2020. And here is what the column says. Black support is a what? A mirage.
Yep.
Despite what foul-mouthed rappers say. Now, Dr. Davis, we know that some rappers have come out in support of Donald Trump.
Yep.
And let me say this. When you see people like that do things like that, remember, the persons who are getting the tax breaks and are benefiting the most are the richest and the wealthiest people.
That's right.
The people that are coming out for him, these rappers and folk, are folk that are in those brackets.
Yep.
Those money brackets where they are benefiting from what he's doing.
Yep.
Notice what the article says. If you have been paying attention to the news lately, it might appear as though African Americans are abandoning the Democrats and lining up to vote for Donald Trump.
Yep.
That would be, what it say, a disaster for the Democratic challenger.
Yep, that's right.
Who has no chance of becoming president unless black voters turn out for him in large numbers. Well, here's what happened. Black voters have turned out, but they haven't turned out for him. Now, they may have, we'll see by the end of it all, when the final count is done, we'll see if enough of them turned out for him to make a difference.
Right.
Then the article goes on to say, the polling organization 538 reported on Monday that Trump is losing ground with white voters.
Yep.
Seems to be gaining momentum with Latinos and Black African Americans, particularly young blacks.
Yep.
Trump always has had the support of a handful of who? High-profile African Americans, such as rapper Kanye and former NFL player Herschel Walker, and video bloggers Diamond and Silk. It is impossible, or it is possible, it says, that he is winning over a new crop of voters. It goes on to say, his first public rally after testing positive of COVID-19, Trump made a political statement using African Americans and Latinos as optics.
Yep.
These unlikely supporters, some without masks and wearing Make America Great Again caps, cheered from the South Lawn as Trump spoke from the White House balcony. Now, we know for a fact, Dr. Davis, that was another potential super spreader event.
Yep.
We know that.
Yes, sir.
And the report is that many of the people that were there at that event were paid to come. Here's how they did it. It came out in the news. They were invited to come to another rally that was held in Washington. And if they agreed to go to the White House to the rally after that first one, they would be reimbursed for their travel expenses and their lodging.
Right.
That's called getting paid.
Yes, sir. That's what it is. But see, they messed up because they got paid afterwards, and they didn't get paid.
Woo! Dr. Davis. Dr. Davis.
Yep.
One of the things that we have to do, especially you and I and those persons who come on this show and who rally with us, we have to speak truth.
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately, the truth does not fit well and suit well with everybody. It doesn't sit well. Everybody
Right.
doesn't like what they hear.
Right.
Many times we are like ostriches. We want to stick our head in the sand.
That's right.
And what they fail to realize is the head on the ostrich is the smallest part of his body.
Yep.
Stick his head in the sand, and the biggest part of him
Huh.
is left out and exposed to be a big target.
Yep. That's right.
And we don't want to accept, we don't want to hear the truth, and we certainly don't want to accept it.
That's right.
But the minute that we find ourselves with our backs up against the wall, we want to cry foul.
Yep. That's
But
right.
when we had the opportunity to do something about it, we chose not to.
Yep.
I don't understand, Dr. Davis. Maybe you can speak to that. Maybe you can speak to it.
Brother, I'm just as lost as you are because once again, I don't know I really don't know where their mind is. I don't know what their thinking is. And like I said, the only thing I can think of is that they think they're getting money out of it. And they ought to know by now, when they got their first stimulus check, that was not his money. That was taxpayers' money. He ain't giving up a thing. And I don't think they understand that. But I just think it's what they think is, well, money is money. I don't care where it come from, as long as they give me some. And that's what they thinking, I guess. But once again, I don't know where their mind is. I don't know where their thinking is. And I keep trying to tell people, you got to understand, you just can't think for yourself. You got to think for those who are coming behind you. You got to think for those children that's got to come up in this world. And you need to make sure you leave them with some understanding of what's going on. Because as history going to have it, they're going to want to know, well, what part did you play when it came to the 2020 election? What side was you on? Because young folks are going to want to know, you know? And then you're going to say, well, I was on Trump's side because he gave me some money. Money ain't everything. Because you got to look for the people that's coming behind you, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
Well, Dr. Davis, as you're aware, they already have a court date. I believe it's next week to discuss and have the hearing on abolishing the health care, affordable health care.
Yep.
If they, and that was one of the reasons why they pushed that judge through on the Supreme
Yep.
Court.
Yep. Judge Barrett. Yep.
If the Health Care Act, Affordable Health Care Act, is overturned, the persons that's going to be affected the most are
Yep.
going to be black and brown skinned folk.
Exactly.
And first of all, the stimulus check that was given to us a few months ago is gone.
Exactly.
In fact,
Exactly.
in fact, all they did, they took that money, and most folk took that money and spent it on things.
That,
They
that's
didn't
like
try to
playing
save
catch
nothing
up.
for a rainy day.
That's right. Well, they were playing catch up because once we shut the country down, they were out of work. some people were depending on their unemployment, and other folks, they were trying to play catch up with the bills, catch up with mortgages and credit cards and all these other things. And right now, where we at, we're almost headed. We're in the fall, heading for the winter.
Dr.
And
Davis,
I'm telling you,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Dr. Davis. I don't know. I don't know. Dr. Davis, I don't know. All I know is it don't look good. And we as the African Americans, uh, I think we are in some ways further behind than what our ancestors were even during slavery. At least they had enough sense to come together and stand
right,
together for the most part.
right,
Although the slave master tried to plot and pitch the house worker against the field worker,
right,
most part, they learned to come together and stand for a
right.
common cause.
That's right.
We, years later, have become so much more educated, have become so much more endowed with things.
Yep.
We have so much more opportunities at our disposal. However, we are making less progress than what our ancestors did.
Yes, sir. And we have gone back. We have gone back almost 40 years. I hate to say it, but we've gone back almost 40 years. And it's going to take us almost, I know, at least another 15 to 20 years to get out of this. Because I don't know where the black man's mind is. I don't know where his thinking is. And we, like I said, we so far behind now, it's pathetic. And I'm hoping that we can get out with Vice President Biden. I'm hoping we can get out. But once again, once he get in office, he's got a fight on his hand
He's got
just to
major,
try to get, huh?
he's got major problems, Dr. Davis. He's got major
Yes,
problems.
sir. Yes, sir.
He's got major problems. Well, it is sad. We're still losing people to the coronavirus. Let me, as I did last week, let me share with you, many of our viewers, some information from Baltimore County for those persons who may be in need of help and support. There is help and support to the coronavirus, especially if you are able to meet the conditions. And from my understanding, from a Baltimore County authority, that African Americans, at right now, Dr. Davis, African Americans are the least group of ethnic people taking advantage of these opportunities for help.
Right.
If you are in Baltimore County, certainly you can call this number, the flyer there, 410-887-3816, if you need help. And if you're not from Baltimore County, I encourage you to call that number, and they probably can direct you to a resource in whatever county or city, a part of the state that you're in. Again, if you're in need of some help and you have been affected by COVID-19 and it has impacted your household, Baltimore County and other areas are trying to reach out to provide help and support to you. You can give them a call at 410-887-3816. And of course, if you need or would like to have that information sent to you, then make sure you reach out to us. Send me an email and I would forward it to you at yes, let's talk about it, the number one at gmail.com. There's also other information that I want to share that Baltimore County has sent us. There is a resource guide as well that has information a whole packet of information that you can get help with as it relates to COVID 19. Information about updated, keeping updated housing and utilities information, information about judicial news and legal assistance if you find yourself in that position, healthcare resources and COVID 19 information, resources for food. I know a lot of churches and other places are giving out food around the city and the county as well as the state, but there are resources available. They have a 24-hour call line. They have mental health resources. Dr. Davis, people are struggling with stress behind
Right.
this COVID 19. Worker and business assistance is available. And then there's resources for seniors is available. And then even for those persons who are born, foreign born persons. And then internet access and public Wi Fi and to be informed and stay connected. So that's another resource that is available for persons with COVID 19 who have been affected. And there's one more that I want to share with you. And I know we don't want to think about it much, but listen, as a result of COVID 19, there are people who are at extreme risk. The stress of this has caused folk to be put in situations that is not good for their health. So there's a resource guide that is available. And once again, all you have to do is reach out to us and we will make that information available to you. I'll be happy to forward it to you and to send it to you because we believe that it is good information for you to have. Dr. Davis, we're just trying to be helpful to our community. Try to make
Right.
sure when we find out information, when we find out about things, we share that with them. And so, again, we are constantly trying to do better, constantly trying to improve, constantly trying to make a difference, constantly trying to bring you the best that we can do, even as we continue to upgrade. And so, Dr. Davis, once again, it's been a great show. Hopefully, we have shared some information, have enlightened some folk about some things. It's just, we just got to keep on pushing and we've got to
Right.
keep on praying. And so, I tell folk, regardless of who comes in, we are
Right.
going to have to trust in God. Once again, Dr. Davis, thank you for your participation, for being a great co host. I want to try one more time to see if we can share um, our intro, and I think I may have found where the issue may have been as far as what the sound. We'll try it and see if it doesn't sound is not there when we do it, then we'll come back. But once again, we're going to try it. Let's see. Okay, so we still don't have the sound. I'm not sure why we don't have the sound. We had it when we did it earlier when we did the test run. But nonetheless, know that we are constantly trying to make a difference and bring about some changes and some positive things, even in the way that we do some things. We are always trying,
Yes,
always
sir. And I thank you for
our
having
best.
me.
Always trying to do our best, Dr. Davis.
Yes,
Trying to,
sir. And I appreciate y'all calling me.
well, you've heard it. We've had it. Once again, thank you for being a part of our show. It's been fun. Until next week, we're going to continue. Let's talk about it.